Welcome to a Panzerkrieg review. This is a game that I purchased over 10 years ago, just over 10 years ago. It's my first war game that I was breaking into the hobby anyways, that I purchased. I had some exposure to it when I was much younger, but I thought, you know what, this is going to be the first game I'm going to buy. That was before I was on Board Game Geek or belonged to any groups to play war games, so I just kind of picked it up and hope for the best. This is the CoSi edition, and let's see what comes inside of it. Well, we get a rules book, which is good, and this is how I remember I started about 10 years ago, and I don't think I got much further than this because it had 10 pages of rules. And at the time, that was a lot for me to digest. But now that I've played a few more games, it's a little bit easier to understand. So it comes with charts here, some clarifications and additions, which I get myself familiar with, as well as another scenario, some advertisements in here, and if I remember correctly, I paid about $60 for this game. I had the opportunity to purchase that. I read on a couple threads there. I guess I did some punching. Got some partial punches here, which is good. Gets me started anyways. Some guys were picking it up for around $10, brand new, but nevertheless, it's in my collection, and I've never played a full game of it. Here's a scenario book, and it's thicker than a rule book, which is good. Lots of scenarios in here. They are not connected. It's you can't play them as campaigns. You play them separately. And I think taking a look at the map, specifically at the setup for the Aftermath of Citadel, the scenario in the scenario book here, there is a yellow line. It is tough to see, but it is as well as drawn out in the scenario book, so you're able to make a reference to it. It follows it along here. This is the bulge from Kirk's. So remember, this is after the Battle of Kirk's. It comes over here, makes a sharp corner, and it hooks into the Donets River. This is the starting line for both sides, and then it comes down to the Maas River. I believe that's how it's called. And as well as there's a little battle group going on down here, actually an army fighting down south of the map here. In this scenario, the Soviets have to get 60 strength points across the Dnieper River at the end of game turn 8. As well as you can see the counter mix here for the Germans and the Soviets. Let's take a look at combat. So the Germans have finished moving all their units. There's the Soviets last turn were able to push across this minor river. The Germans want to firm up that line and push them back. So down south here by Rostov, the Germans are going to commit this stack, this stack, this stack to fight the Soviets, attack the Soviets. This is on top of this. Is there the Germans' air support, which they moved in the movement turn. So these three hexes will be attacking this hex here. We'll break that out there. So that's a leader that the Soviets have. And they have 2 units here. As well as note that they have an armor unit in their defense, and it's in the clear hex. There is going to be no train benefit there, or modifier. The Germans as well, they have a leader in the attack. They would have got +2, but the Soviets have a leader in their defense, so that's negated. They're within their stacking limits. They can stack up to 3 ground units, so they're fine. The leaders do not count against the stacking numbers. The Germans have armored units too, so that's negated for whoever gets the advantage of having armor, attacking or defending in there. for the Germans to be able to do this attack. They are within their command radius of 7 hexes of this headquarters, so that works, as well as into this hex here, the Soviets have an opportunity to bring in reserves, which they will, because there's a unit that is stacked in a town with the headquarters, and they can commit their guards here. So that'll beef up the defense anyways. It's raining, so there's a -1, so we'll go through the odds and any modifiers for it. Nothing for the terrain. The leaders negate each other. The weather, so there's a -1 to the die roll. Nothing for armor support. The reserves were committed. So what are we looking at? Done some calculations here that the Germans have a 38 and the Soviets have 1126. So that's not looking good at all. So that's a 1-to-1. And a -1 on the die roll. I don't think there's any other tricks up the sleeves that the Germans can commit to right here. So rolling that's a 1. So that's going to be quite devastating. Where did I put my chart here? Yeah, that's in exchange. So all ground units and leaders of the weaker side are eliminated. And the opponent must match these losses with units whose face value strength is at least equal to the total eliminated or reduced to battle groups. Leaders may be used to make up such losses. Okay, the surviving side may occupy the hex formerly containing their opponent's units. So that's what combat looks like. So the first attack we'll have here is down in the Crimea. And it could be the destruction of a leader, removal of a leader. The Germans have a total of, well, these are their satellite units. They call them satellite axis units here. The ones with the dark blue. They only have 3. So the leader can only commit 3 more out of its 6 strength. So they have a 6 altogether for the Germans. And the Soviets have 9, 13, it's 15, it's 28. That gives you the 4-to-1 odds. But because the Soviets are attacking with armored units, they have armor superiority because they're attacking into a clear hex. So that gives them 5-to-1 odds. And, sorry, the weather is clear this turn, so there's no modification on the die roll for weather. 5-to-1 odds. Ooh, oh, have an S. Defender still retreats 2. Gonna have to review the rules here, but they might be pinned. I don't think, because of the way. Yeah, they might be destroyed. I'll just have to double check here. Well, this is the beginning of the 6th turn of Aftermath of Citadel. The Germans were able to punch back a little bit and reduce some Soviet power here that are able to cross the river. But they are holding right now. There is a few turns left. I've rolled for the weather. It is rain, so it's -1 to the die rolls. You might not be able to see it, but down in the southeast corner, there's some reinforcements for the Soviets. The Germans will receive reinforcements as well this turn. The Soviets will move. They'll probably punch across the river in a few more places. We'll see. It is a race to the end of the game, to the end of turn 8, to see if they get 60 strength points across the Dnieper River. Now, what do they have right now? I think it's only 3. 3 strength points. They did have more, but they were able to repel a few attacks. There is a stalemate up here that we'll have to resolve on actually the Soviets' turn this turn now. Oh yeah, the Soviets really took Crimea over here. They've pinned down the remainder of the divisions, wiped out a few more. The other ones will try to escape through sea transport. Hopefully bring them back into the mix again. We'll see how that goes. The reserves are pretty much gone for the headquarters that I had stacked with them. I was trying to keep them with that availability and opportunity to commit reserves, but they actually had to send them out to fill the line to stop the crossing. So it does look a little weak here, but there isn't a lot of place to cross because of the swamp on one side. They're holding a bridge, and they're holding I guess it'd be the east side of this river crossing. The Germans are. So yeah, we'll see. I've just wrapped up the scenario aftermath of Citadel. Excellent scenario. Had a lot of fun playing it. Played it solo. The Soviets won with 97 strength points across the Neptune River. Panzerkrieg is definitely a mid-level complexity game. I can say that because I know when that was just the first war game that I bought, and it's definitely not a gateway game to wargaming. But I'm sure there's a lot of other games that are more complex monster games out there with thicker rule books to go through. So this game can be played in an afternoon with a good solid 4 hours, this scenario anyways. I enjoyed playing it solo. I would like to play this game at least once a year, get it out onto the table. The next time I do play, I'd like to play it face to face. There's a couple rules or variables in it that only an opponent can really give you for an oh wow factor or a surprise factor or just that calculated risk like reserves. Which battle is you going to commit the reserves to, or the caps where you're going to defend with your air support, exploiting armor breakthrough. So definitely soloable, but I'd really like to try that to see to get that experience with an opponent. Yeah, thank you for joining me, and you have yourself a great day.